Hi, today my name is Mcfield Sheppard, and today we're going to talk about butterflies and fairies. I might say as I'm the author of the Butterfly Fairy books and the director of the Fairy Creature Museum. So we're going to do is, first of all, I know it's the dead of winter, and really we don't actually raise butterflies and live butterflies in the dead of winter. So I got some dried up specimens to show you of each of the butterflies and why butterflies are important to our ecosystems and what uses they have in human value system. Because some butterflies are actually not pollinators, as you all refer in the schools, and butterflies sometimes, depending on the species, would actually use pot flowers instead they would use nasty stuff like carrion or rotten fruits. So let's get started on the first specimen. Okay, can anyone tell me what this butterfly is? I know it's hard to see because it's a bit dark. This is called painted lady. Painted ladies are also known as thistle butterflies, and they're commonly found around the world except Australia and Antarctica. They are beautiful, and they're one of the most widespread butterflies in the world, actually. One of the first. And even though they're tiny, they could do migrations similar to monarchs, believe it or not. And on top of that is that they use flowers to pollinate their own flowers. In other words, they pollinate native wildflowers in their own typical area. Like, I'm from New York State, so therefore they'll pollinate thistles, goldenrod, asters. We have a lot of asters in our New York State area. So we're going to talk about the next butterfly. So our next butterfly is called the spicebush swallowtail, right there. Can you see that, guys, right there? Alright, so as you can see in the title, it's called the spicebush swallowtail. And the spicebush swallowtail is a butterfly that is a common pollinator of other swallowtails through many flowers, including like spicebush, of course, and sassafras leaves. That's their host plants, and they are common on gardens and natural habitats. In other words, they pollinate gardens and natural habitats such as deciduous woodlands, forests, etc., etc. They come in the late spring, and they're active at mostly summertime. Here in New York State, we actually rarely see them because we have more swallowtails like the giant and the tiger swallowtail, which are pollinators too. But this is more common as a pollinator because they spread many wildflowers like the painted lady. I don't know which kind of flowers they pollinate specifically, but I do know that they pollinate a lot of flowers throughout the eastern United States. Alright, so our next butterfly is called the zebra longwing. This is the zebra longwing right there. And that's a butterfly that's not found in New York State. It's a butterfly that's found in Florida and the southeastern and western United States and throughout South America. So this butterfly, believe it or not, is a very strong pollinator. In fact, flowers of this lantana is shepherd's needles. Shepherd's needles are like a type of flower that the zebra longwings pollinate with, and so is the lantanas. And surprisingly, both of those flowers depend on the zebra longwing butterfly, because actually, not only it pollinates flowers, but it drinks the nectar out of the flowers and actually travels the pollen with it by either through their, I believe, their feet or their proboscis. Alright, so the next butterfly, but last but not least, is the monarch. Alright, so this is a monarch. Believe it or not, this is a monarch I actually found sickly in our garden once, in the museum garden. Here, I'll bring it up closer to you. Yeah, it's a male, and it's very fainted, the colors. So, like zebra longwings, you obviously probably heard of monarchs as being the most famous butterfly. So like zebra longwings, monarchs actually are very good pollinators. They pollinate any wildflower basically depending where you live, but mostly milkweed. Milkweed is their host plant of any kind of milkweed, whether swamp milkweed, common milkweed, or butterfly milkweed. Um, so yeah, monarchs are actually endangered, considered to be like their habitat loss and deforestation. So they really they're in crisis right now. But luckily, a lot of gardeners and a lot of naturalists are trying to protect and help the endangered monarch, by raising them in their own homes or planting milkweed, native milkweed that is. All right, so that concludes my next. That's all the butterflies, but that concludes my next book I want to recommend to you guys. Is this book right here. This is called 500 Butterflies Around the World, and I highly here I'll show you. Highly recommend you guys actually buy it if you want to study butterflies like I do. Because butterflies, I honestly didn't know there's so many different types of butterflies around the world until this book brought my eyes when I was 16, and now I'm 24. But seriously, I actually, when I wrote the Butterfly Fairy book, for example, I actually realized to myself wow, this is really, really amazing how diverse butterflies really is. The colors. Anyway, the point is, I just want to is you can buy this book if you want. If you don't, I understand. But you really should buy it because it talks about butterflies species around the world with their life cycle, their host plants, and their natural abilities and their diets. And now brings me to my last point, fairies and butterflies. So why do fairies actually need butterflies? And art, actually, especially specifically European art, fairies use butterflies as different purposes, like mostly to ride them on, like people ride horses with. They sometimes will use butterflies as companions, like we use dogs and cats as example for the human world as companions. But they use butterflies as companions, or pets, or friends. Basically, they use them as pets. That's about it, guys. So, I made this video because really, that people don't know what butterflies are useful for. In other words, I feel like people think butterflies are useful to the earth, whether you're a scientist or a regular person or a naturalist. But, though, there is a big but, however, is that butterflies, it depends on the species. They can be pollinators, or they can be like carrions, or they can even be both. And they can even be like insectivores. Who knows what the butterfly species is, because there's so many butterfly species out there in the world. And the fact of the matter is that it's important that to care about the ecology, most importantly, that butterflies are essential to the environment where they actually take care of plants. They provide food for the other animals. I hope you learned something today. And this is Spencer Mcfield Sheppard signing off. Have a good day, everyone.